A mighty empire. One of the anomalies of our approach to history is the propensity to study the venerable empires of Europe, but we do not feel it incumbent upon us to ascertain anything about the civilizations in our own hemisphere. We deprecate the history of this part of the world as though progress lay dormant and that other peoples were irrelevant until the settlers of North America arrived at Plymouth Rock. In South America, from 2000 BC until their empire reached its acme at the beginning of the 16th century, lived the Incas. The site of the capital city of the Inca Empire, Cusco, lay at a height of 11,000 feet. This civilization is reputed to have burgeoned until it covered more than 2,500 miles of the western part of the continent. Its population fluctuated between 4 and 7 million. This empire had a highly efficacious political and social system. Its potentate ruled with absolute power. As the empire conquered new lands, it would disseminate its language, religion, and social customs. A battle for power. The Inca emperor derived his prodigious power and authority from the gods. The paramount god was the sun god. It was from him the ruler passed on his prerogative to rule to his most astute son. This nepotism had worked with great efficacy for centuries. The land holdings were immense, there were rich farmlands and llamas and alpacas for wool. Precious metals were plentiful, silver, copper, bronze, and the most sacred of all, gold. This metal resembled the sun god whom they extolled. There was no dearth of idols and ornaments hammered from this gleaming metal. There was always more gold coming from the mines to replenish the supply. At the acme of his power, the Inca ruler died without naming the requisite successor. In 1528 two sons began an internecine struggle for control. For the next 4 years the empire sank into the lassitude caused by civil war. A perfidious conqueror. The feuding between the rival sons reached its pinnacle in 1532. At that moment Francisco Pizarro came onto the scene. A native of Spain, he was sojourning in Panama when he heard of the riches to be found in that far-off land. Overwhelmed with cupidity, but still a tyro when it came to wresting power and wealth from hapless people, he joined with an inveterate adventurer. They gathered a small band of mercenaries. The first 2 attempts failed, and Pizarro returned to Spain to request authority and money in order to conquer the west coast of South America. Whether by sophistry or cajolery, he was given the requisite aid. With a force of 180 men, the dregs of society, he invaded Inca territory. He reached the city where the current ruler, Atahualpa, was holding court. The Incas welcomed Pizarro who, in a factitious display of friendship, heaped encomiums upon Atahualpa. Unknown to the Incas, Pizarro had brought guns that were still beyond the technology of these people. The obloquy of his next act, ambushing the Incas and taking Atahualpa prisoner, will live in the history books that are replete with tales of conquest. The end of an empire. The Machiavellian Pizarro held the captured Atahualpa for ransom. He was adamant about receiving a room filled with gold to the height of a man's shoulder. This was taken as a hyperbole at first, but Pizarro knew the gullible Incas would be munificent when it came to rescuing their sacred ruler. They did not procrastinate, and a frenetic collection of gold took place. Pizarro, to whom prevarication was natural in dealing with the Incas, had no qualms about executing their ruler as soon as he had the gold. The Inca Empire was moribund, but the charisma that surrounded Atahualpa was such that, after his death, the Incas fought on tenaciously in his name for several years. Eventually, superior weapons quelled all opposition. A policy of genocide was adopted by the Spanish conquerors, and almost 2 million of these proud people died in the carnage that followed. The saga of an ancient civilization thus came to an end.